Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be teaching you how to make a clay sphere. The first thing you're going to need is some clay, a serrated rib or something to score and slip, a needle tool, a paint brush, that's a little small one, bigger one would probably be better, a cup with water, and that's about it. The first step is to take your clay and make two balls that are the same size. All right, so now that we have two equal sized balls of clay, we're gonna make two equal sized pinch pots. If you need information or wanna review how to make a pinch pot, be sure to watch the previous video. Now that I have the second pinch pot made, I'm checking the size of it and I saw that it was a little wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it in. Now the way that you do this is you use your fingers on the inside and then your thumbs on the outside and kind of pinch and bring your fingers together. This might take some getting used to, but eventually with practice you'll get this down. Now that my two pinch pots are about the same size, I'm going to score and slip them together. Here I'm using a serrated rib, but you can use any tool you want as long as you get that scoring and slipping done right. All right, now that it's nice and scored and slipped, I'm going to put them together. Try to get them as even as possible. Go around and use your thumbs to push them together and then your whole hand to press together and wiggle a little bit to make sure a really firm connection goes all the way around. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach a coil to firm up and support that seam. So the first thing that we're gonna do is you can get any tool. I'm using a wooden tool, but you can use the back of a paintbrush, anything that can scratch this really well. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scratch over the seam, and this just makes it an even surface so it doesn't dip down where it is connected. So I really like to do this. It also scores and slips the clay, so when you add the coil, it will stick properly. Okay, so now we're ready to create our coil to attach to the seam. First, you're going to take a piece of clay and you're going to squeeze and rotate, and as you squeeze, that coil is going to get longer. Once your coil gets about a foot to a foot and a half, you're going to start rolling it on the table. Now, when I do this, I like to keep my fingers spread, and I start at the middle and I work my way to the edges. You want to keep on rolling until the coil gets to about the thickness of your thumb. All right, so now that the coil is the right size, it is ready to attach to the sphere. You see those lines that we made before is already the scoring, so now you're going to want to add some water to it. I was using that really small brush. I was like, this ain't gonna work. So I just took some water in my hands. It got a little wet. I would suggest using a better brush and not doing it the way that I did. All right, so now we're ready to attach it to the sphere. Make sure that when you push it down, you are not pushing too hard. You don't want to concave or make a hole in your sphere, so just be very careful and take your time and go around. Okay, so now we're going to take that coil and we're going to push out the edges and smear the clay so that the whole sphere has a very smooth and even surface. Okay, so now that that coil is on there, it is really stable. It's almost like a balloon that has air on it, so you can really mold it without fear of collapsing anything. So now I'm taking my hands, I'm patting it a little bit, I'm really molding it so it's more of that ball or circular shape that I'm looking for in my sketch. All right, so now that the shape is right, I'm going to take the surface and I'm gonna make it ultra smooth. And the way that you wanna do that is that you can take a serrated rib and I'm gonna scratch it all over in multiple directions throughout the whole surface. And what this does is it takes the high areas and drops them down and pushes the clay into the areas that are low. It's actually pretty satisfying to do. All right, so now that it's scratched all over, I'm gonna use the smooth side of the rib and I'm gonna go over all of it. And you can see here, it just works so great to smooth everything out. And this can be done on any sculpture that you have, whether it be a vase, a pot like this, a sphere, whatever you want. This is just a really good way to get that surface super smooth. All right, so now that that piece is molded the way that it should be, we're gonna go to the last step, which is poking it with the needle tool, which is gonna allow the air to escape as it shrinks.